Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as J-Monster. I want to thank you for joining me for another 30 Days Reforged replay battle. Today I'm going to show off one of the new artillery pieces that the Misty Mountains will receive in patch 0.97. And that is one that I'm sure many of you are familiar with at this point, since it is available in the base. I think it's in Kingdoms, but it might also be in Vanilla as well. This would be the Mangonel. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Mangonel and how I at least intended for it to be used. We'll see exactly what players make of it. The Mangonel is capped at 2 in 0.97, at least for the time being. And the primary purpose is to, 1, give the Misty Mountains an alternative playstyle. So something a little bit more defensive. So you're going to see a very defensive build today. If you look at a little bit of tactical geometry here, about half of our rhombus. And it's a very effective tool in those kinds of situations. It can also be useful for breaking up rushes. And in team fights, I haven't seen it be used yet. Although I would speculate, based on what I've seen and just how useful artillery can be in team battles if you're using it well, it could be a potentially very powerful tool. In a siege, I have no idea. The Mangonel will not be very effective against buildings, so you probably will be using it for the smashing down of citadel walls and that sort of thing. But it could be very useful as a mortar, for clearing out choke points and things like that. So we'll see just how strong it ends up being. It might go to being 1 capped, but at the moment it is indeed at 2. And yeah, it's a really effective terror tool. If you use it with a numbers build, like the Misty Mountain player Tundrous Fox has gone for in this replay, it's extremely effective. The Misty Mountains tar pit like pretty well nobody's business, and they have actually received some buffs to their morale as well. I believe the Goblin King's bodyguard also got a little bit bigger. Troll drummers are of course present in this army, and then there's the Black Rooks of the Mountain, who at least for the time being have +5 morale to nearby units, so they're very, very effective. And a lot of those buffs, the Black Rooks in particular, were aimed at making this build a little bit more viable, because you will probably hit your own troops with the Mangonel. You play with fire, you get burned. So it's a bit of a risk-reward kind of tool, but it can be glorious when it is pulled off well, and sometimes it can be a little bit catastrophic. But we'll see how it goes in this battle. Let's take a look at Tundrous Fox's army comp, and then we'll move on to that of his opponent, and then we can finally jump into the replay and see the Mangonel in action. Got some heavy goblin infantry here on the front lines. One of those controversial units. Again, people didn't think that they were worth it, so they're a little bit cheaper now. Currently, they're at 425. Previously, they were 475. So, yeah, reasonably strong unit. Just because of its sheer numbers and has an OP attack value, so we got 4 units of them. I got some heavy goblin spears, 1 unit on the front line, probably 2 again in the back. Heavy goblin spears have gotten a little bit of changes to bring them more in line with the standard orc infantry. They were previously highly trained, despite being ostensibly at least the same as the goblin units, just armed a little bit differently. So that's been corrected. So their morale has been brought down to the level of the goblin units. They've lost a little bit of damage, but they have been made a fair amount cheaper. I think at the moment they cost about 625, whereas previously they were like 650, or they went even as high as 675 at one point. Maybe they're just a flat-out 600, I don't know. But they are still AP, so extremely useful for that reason alone. Got some Blackback Mountain Berserkers here, really strong frontline unit, along with Goblin King's bodyguard. And I think some Snog Skirmishers as well, and then we've got some missile units. So we've got some, well, the Goblin Infantry aren't the missile units, but I'm pretty sure there's some crossbows hiding in here. A couple units of Goblin Archers in addition to another unit of Heavy Goblin Archers in the back. Very defensive kind of box formation. I probably would have gone a little bit farther back. The Mangonel range, actually I haven't mentioned that. The Mangonel range is decent. It's siege range, but it's actually less than that of a ballista. So you can use a ballista to effectively counter-snipe this if you bring it and you defend it. And if a Misty Mountains army is going to be very defensive like this, then a ballista might just be the thing you want to bring, because that will cause them to make them go a little bit forward. You will certainly get the first shot off on the Mangonel, and the ballista is significantly more accurate than the Mangonel. So it makes a solid counter to it. But in any case, let's go ahead, fast forward just a little bit, and we can take a look at what Team Red is bringing to the battle today. Across the field, we have a glorious Haradrim army, which is turning out to be a really good faction in 0.97. They're already pretty good, let's be honest. Harad was reasonably strong with all of the monsters that they can bring, but they are getting some pretty solid buffs to some core units in this patch as well, so they'll be even better. And this army is going to be commanded by Inksvitz. He's bringing some Haradrim Raiders. Of course, the Mumakil. I'm sure that was the first thing you noticed. You got some Serpent Guard in the back here. You can see they're a little bit smaller. I talk about Serpent Guard buffs. I think that they're buffs, but overall they It could be categorized as just changes. I talked about those in some previous videos on the official Reforged channel, so I would recommend you guys go and you check those out if you're curious to learn a little bit more. But in any case, one unit Serpent Guard, got some Muhad Beast Hunters here. Southern Pikemen mixed in with some Southern Warband makes a solid core to this Herodrum army. Southern Archers and some Herodrum Spearmen out front, more Herodrum Raiders, second company of Serpent Guard. Another unit of the Muhad Beast Hunters here. Unfortunately, no dismounted Serpent Guard in the field today. They are a really good unit, though, in .97. And then we have the Black Serpent Bodyguards. So really nicely balanced force here. And I think that's just about it for his army, unless he's got some hidden rangers or something, but we'll see that as the battle moves on. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start the battle. I hope you guys enjoy it. So immediately upon the gate opening, you can see that the Mangonel, I think it would be firing by now. The Herodrum are certainly within range. People tend to turn off fire at will, however, on their artillery units just so they don't waste ammunition. In this case, though, I would use the if you're going to deploy this closely, I would use the Mangonel on fire at will. Just let it do its thing immediately. It's got a really long reload time to try and balance out how devastating the projectiles can be when they hit. The Mangonel is also reasonably accurate, although the projectile does have some oddities to it, which I'm still trying to work out. Usually it will blow up, you can't really see my mouse because I think I have it turned off, but it will blow up probably about halfway here, yeah, in between where the Herodrum army and where the Misty Mountain army is. And I don't really know why. I'm sure there's a way to fix that, and one of the other dev team people will tell me. We can figure that out and maybe make the Mangonel a little bit more reliable in certain cases. Hope he's gonna fire it soon. I really want to see the Mangonel in action. Come on, Thunderous Fox, don't let me down. Let's fast forward just a little bit here. I think we're going to see a skirmish fight, which could endure for quite a while, for some moments. We got some Serpent Guard coming forwards, menacing those Goblin Archers, and I don't think they're going to be able to get away. They might be able to retreat back into the arms of the Heavy Goblin Infantry. However, they will get cut down just as easily by the Serpent Guard. I'm not sure I would have brought both of them back. I think I might have used one Goblin Archer to fire at the Serpent Guard, who are quite lightly armored, and then maybe just take it on the chin with the other Goblin Archer. Ooh, there's the Mangonel. Finally going off. You can see it spraying that fire everywhere. And one thing to note about the fire, and one of the things that makes it a really good tool for breaking up rushes, is that this fire, if you touch it within about 1 to 2 seconds or so of its impacting the ground, it will actually catch units on fire. It doesn't matter what kind of unit it is. Troll, Mumakil, no, maybe not the Mumakil. I haven't really seen the Mumakil do it. But trolls, elite infantry, it will catch them on fire and kill them. It's a very potent tool. And I think it's going to be one that if it made it to live in its current iteration, you'd see a lot more siege weapons on the field when people are facing Misty, because you'd see the Mangonel a fair amount. I hope it wouldn't completely replace the rush playstyle that Misty Mountains has in .96.1, but I think that it would certainly shake things up a bit. Oh, what do you know? I got some Warg Riders over here. I don't know how I managed to miss them. I don't think they got hide everywhere. Yeah, I got Warg Riders and some bulk champions as well. So this is actually a pretty strong force. I'm interested to see how Angsfitz intends to tackle this. Southern Archers, well defended from the front by those Herodrum Spearmen. Mumakil maneuvering themselves onto the wing, probably so they can fire in with their arrows, which can do a fair amount of damage as well, about 8 missile damage, something that will probably change. Actually, we just had a discussion about that in testers today, about changing the Mumakil's range capacities just a little bit, because the 8 damage is pretty nuts. Some people seem to think that they have body piercing, but according to the projectile that they use, they should not. So I don't know if that's the case. We'll certainly find out in this battle. It's going to make an excellent litmus test that will decide the issue once and for all. Mumakil firing in. Let's see what they do. I feel so bad. That's 2 videos in a row where I've left my Discord on. I'm sorry. I'm quite active on our Discord, so yeah, I tend to be online a fair amount. Herodrum Raiders moving forward, peppering down the Warg Riders. Thunderous Fox does not really have much of an answer to that. Of course, he has his Goblin Archers, and the Herodrum Raiders aren't quite lightly armored. It'll take him a while to chip away at them, however. And in the meantime, the Warg Riders are actually taking quite a beating. You see some of the HP beginning to drop off these units. A few dead models there. Goblin Archers now reforming. Mumakil, I didn't really see them hit anything with those arrows. Angsfitz seems to be conserving the ammunition. I think that Thunderous Fox is trying to go after the Mumakil with the Mangonel. A direct hit from the Mangonel might just send that very expensive unit into a panic and then Anxos would get no further use out of them, so that would be a big loss for him. Haradrim Raiders out in front here. I'm not sure I would use them like this. I mean, he's definitely got archers nearby. The Southern archers could certainly occupy those Goblin archers and whittle them down before he moved in this Haradrim Raiders. So I think that's a bit of a mistake, a little bit of a waste of the Haradrim Raiders right here. They're probably a little bit more useful out here on the wings. Maybe they could be used to snipe out some of these Goblin archers, or at least keep some of the missile units busy. Got a frontal charge here from the Serpent Guard. There's a lot of missile units nearby, and these guys, as I said, don't have great armor or shield values. So I'm not too sure what the purpose of this is going to be, but this is going to really hurt those Goblin infantry. Oh yeah, you can see those Serpent Guard driving hard into the heart of this unit of Goblin infantry. Heavy Goblin archers are otherwise engaged and not actually shooting at these units. This is a nice little gain here from Harad, although I would definitely get out of there as quickly as possible. They are shaken probably because of the presence of those Blackback Mountain Berserkers and just the overall number of units. Yeah, this Serpent Guard needs to get out of there or it's going to break. I would be surprised if it broke. They have decent morale. They've got about 15 morale, so that's really throwing me off there a little bit. Rest of the Haradrim force moving forward ever so slightly. Got some Haradrim Spearmen here a little bit. Yeah, it's not where they really need to be. So we got some Mumakil out here charging their way through the Warg Riders. That's going to really hurt the Wargs. You can see a lot of those Wargs just getting brutalized. It's a weird cat and mouse game when you have melee cavalry like the Wargs. Cav charges by the Wargs, who are armor-piercing, into the Mumakil. If they can surround them and get some attacks off, they can do so much damage to the Mumakil. They get +8 versus elephants, plus their damage, plus their armor-piercing. They can destroy Mumakil, but if the Mumakil charges through them like that in a big mass, well, then the Mumakil certainly have the advantage, using their mass and their high charge value to great effect. Warg Riders getting a decent charge off in there. You can see those Mumakil beginning to get a bit more bloodied. Ooh, a little bit of lag. Bolt's Champions charging in there. Well, that's going to be tough on the Champions. Champions are even stronger than the normal Wargs, but this does not seem to be working out well for them. Heavy Goblin Archers, I believe, have fire arrows. They might. Actually, I don't think that they do in this particular version of the build. So, those Mumakil. Oh, you can see them beginning to fall, though, as those Wargs swarm around them. 1 or 2 is really all it takes to send a Mumakil unit into a panic. Losing half the unit was effectively half the unit. Ooh, a third. I think we might see the Mumakil begin to lose control. Yeah, you can really see. Yeah, there they go. Now they're running amok. You can see that exemplified here. The Mumakil on the charge, they devastated those Wargs. Absolutely destroyed them. I don't think Xfits expected the amount of damage that the Wargs could do once they managed to surround the Mumakil, and the Mumakil weren't able to move quickly and kind of bob and weave in and out of the Wargs, dealing damage as they charged. So once they managed to surround them, the wolf packs brought down those mighty beasts. Very impressive. Unfortunate use of the Mumakil. Serpent Guard, yeah, this is exactly the kind of situation you don't want your Serpent Guard to be in, where they're trying to mount a frontal charge into an enemy who is well prepared with their missile units. I'm not too sure where the rest of the Haradrim are. Got some warbands here. The pikes are somewhere around. Oh, he missed a shot from the Mangonel. I can really see the kind of damage it can do. Let's see if we can get one more shot off on Inkspitz's army before the main lines engage. Ooh, that was close. The closer you get, the different the projectile is going to be for the Mangonel. I believe it has 2. One's just a standard explosive shot. The other is the large, I would call it a cluster bomb that you saw a little bit earlier. Ooh, another good hit over there as well. One of the things I'm thinking about reducing is the radius of the secondary shot, the regular explosive shot, because it can absolutely destroy things. So I think I'll probably make it a bit smaller, just to reduce the effectiveness of the Mangonel at close range, because that seems to be where it's best right now, is in close range fights like this. But I would prefer for the longer range. Ooh, that's so nasty. Look at that right there. Blowing a big hole in the line. And it does some serious morale damage as well, so that could be all it takes to rout the Southron Warband. Now they're going to try and run forward. Ooh, regaining their courage. Southron Warbands are reasonably well trained. They've got about 15 or so morale, I believe. We got an infantry fighting against the pikemen here. Some Haradrim support coming in the form of their javelins from the Muhad Beastmasters, or Beast Hunters. It seems like Anx is trying to overwhelm just a portion of the Goblin line. rather than trying to take it on all at once. Ooh, nasty javelin volley there into those heavy goblin spears. But one of the things that the Misty Mountains have in spades, and in this build in particular, that trait is emphasized, is their numbers, their ability to soak up casualties like this. Pikemen moving in, Southron Warbands holding their ground well. Haradrim Spearmen being brought in, that's a bit of a risk. If they start to rout, and it's very easy to make them rout, Southron Warband might actually lose heart and begin to flee, and that could cascade into a catastrophic mass rout for Ankspitz. Let's see what we got going on over here. Still a Mumakil. What do you know? It reformed. I think. Oh, it actually came back. What do you know? There's a weird bug where if you will like use the kill button for your rampaging elephants, they'll stop moving, and it won't say that they're panicked anymore, but you also won't be able to move them. But it seems like that is the case here. This unit has simply just regained control of its senses and come back, which is a rarity as far as I understand. Over here you can see the heavy goblin units beginning to crumble under the pressure from the AP Southron Warband, backed up with those AP pikes, and this Misty Mountains army is beginning to feel the heat, which is a little bit ironic because of that giant flaming terror weapon that they have. But as more and more of these troops pile in, you can see the Mangonel winding up. It has a really long wind-up time, but the results can be so devastating. So let's see what it does. I think it's going to be over here. Ooh, went after the Haradrim Spearmen. I would expect that to rout them, but surprisingly not. Oh, beautiful shot there. Ooh, one more shot like that, and I think, oh yeah, they're going to begin to rout. Definitely want to get that in for the thumbnail, so I might come back to this point and take a cheeky screenshot. Ooh, more javelins coming in against those blackbacks. A really good target for it, for the javelin units. Out over here, Haradrim Spearmen holding the line. Misty Mountains infantry taking a beating. Serpent Guard getting a charge in here. Black Serpents as well. Seems like the Haradrim have managed to clean up what remained of the War Cavalry, which is kind of unsurprising. Most of them are Lancers, but they're not bad. Ooh! Oh, the brutality! Yeah, and you can see the Southrons beginning to rout. Just how much of an impact that Mangonel can have, which is part of the reason why I'm considering lowering that projectile, lowering the projectile radius, because you can see it covers a really large area. So now the Misty Mountains Goblins have managed to break through there. The Southron Pikemen not going to be able to hold for too long against the spears. That fear-causing unit of Blackback Mountain Berserkers. And indeed, we are going to see them rout here. There's not really a whole lot to replace them. There are some Hashari Stalkers in the back, and that could be a big problem for the Misty Mountains infantry. It seems like over here the Misty Mountain Goblins are starting to take it back as well, which is very surprising. Goblin infantry, hidden goblins, coming in from the rear against the Southron Archers. Southron Archers would probably win that fight. I would definitely give that to them. But they are being pressed from multiple angles here. And of course there's still that Mangonel to be considered. A nasty Mangonel. Though the Heshari Stalkers could really make a huge difference here. Especially if they're firing into that the massed ranks of the Goblin infantry there. Ooh, Goblin King's Bodyguard now. Moving forward, still fresh, and there's not a ton that Harad really has left to answer that with. You can see some reforming. Muhad Beast Hunters still in pretty good shape. I think most of the Haradrim infantry, aside from this Haradrim left wing over here, have been destroyed, and these guys are fairly isolated, and now they are routing. A devastating hit from the Mangonel. Yeah, it's got a really huge radius. That's definitely something I would say is going to change in the future, but still, I wanted to show off some cool new stuff to you guys today. So don't take this at face value. It's something that we're playing around with. It's not necessarily how it is going to look in the final product. Yeah, in the center, the Goblins have won. The Haradrim have been routed. The infantry fight is thoroughly in favor of the Misty Mountains. Sheer numbers alone, they have taken horrendous casualties. If we look at it here, it's actually quite even in terms of numbers, just because the Misty Mountains Goblins have so much more. Haradrim Spearmen, these guys still have ammo? No, they do not. They whipped out their maces. Still, they'll be decent against most of the Goblin units. These Beast Hunters still have ammo, perhaps? Nope, they're also out as well. If they surround them, this could be deadly, especially with, oh, of course, the Black Serpents are still around. That's a nasty thing indeed. I might even use them against the Mangonel, this remaining Mangonel crewmen here. just to make sure that it's no longer a problem. Bolts champions, still 9 of them. That's pretty scary. Serpent Guard. I think there's just this one unit of Serpent Guard left, but that... Oh, look at that. That is so gorgeous. It's really cool to see. Oh, I don't know how... I guess it kind of clipped the Muhad Beast Hunters here as well, which sent them all into a panic, which means that the Haradrim are going to be in full retreat here, and I don't think they're going to be able to recover a second time. Oh, Hashari Stalkers. Out of ammo, but they're charging in. Actually, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the Hashari Stalkers are actually the female version of the Hashari. So we are equal opportunity employers over here at the Reforged dev team. Try not to raise too much of a stink about it. I know we had that Rome 2 controversy quite recently, where female generals caused the world to end, but yeah, don't hold it against us too much. Ooh, nasty. Charging in there, trying to deal with what remains of the Bolts champions. That's gonna hurt though. Oh, so many Snaga Stalkers. It's just a really nice layered build that uses the numbers of the Misty Mountains quite effectively to whittle down even superior infantry just over time, which is the build I kind of wanted to open up for the Misty Mountains. Oh, there goes the Haradrim General, somehow getting himself snagged on a unit of Heavy Goblin Spears over there. That's probably going to rout the Serpent Guard, and that's going to be the end of the replay. Not the closest game, but still, it was still pretty entertaining, and definitely gives you a sense of the... oh man, look at the Mangonel again, 344 kills, a very useful artillery piece. Again, this is not going to be the final product. We are still tweaking this, and I've spent a few hours doing this already, and I'm probably going to spend a few hours more on it, so I just wanted to show it off to you guys. And actually, if you keep watching, you'll probably notice that you're about halfway through the video right now, and that's because there's a second battle coming up. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys in just a few moments. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. My name is Jordan, also known as J Monster, but you probably know that, and I hope you enjoyed our last Mangonel video. Today, we're going to be playing on a different map. It's a little bit choke pointy in a lot of ways, just mostly because of pathfinding. This was actually designed as a conquest map, so if you guys have seen our, I think UMAD Commander actually covered it. So if you guys have seen his video about the Forest Ambush map, well, this is actually it, but in more of a 1v1 setting, and it kind of gives us access to this really cool section of terrain here that I designed to be as like a former battlefield. But today we're going to kick that up into a regular battlefield. So let's go ahead, take a look at my army here. Then we can take a look at the army of my opponent, Tundra's Fox, who's going to be playing as the Misty Mountains. I'm going to be playing, however, as Angmar. I've got 2 units of Ward Riders, 1-2, a unit of Warg Skirmishers in addition to. I think I've got 1 unit of Snaga Stalkers, 2 units of the Angmar Marauders. I've actually upgraded them as well, so they've got attack and defense upgrades. Got some Angmar Halberds, to the tune of 2 units of them. Got a couple of Scourge Raiders as well, fully upgraded. And I've got a unit of Trolls of Angmar. In addition to all of that, I've got a couple units of the Guardians of Karn Doom, who are going to be fully upgraded as well. And I've got some other kind of units hidden and interspersed here and there. Unit of Witch Realm Blackguard, an incredibly powerful unit. A lot of the Angmar units, they got a little bit more morale. So the Angmar Marauders, for example, and the Angmar Halberds. One of the concerns that was brought forward to me, actually by one of the dev team, was that the Orc units were just as numerous as, say, the Orcs of the Misty Mountains, the Goblins of the Misty Mountains. So we decreased the number of them, gave them the Marauders got 1 more shield and 1 more morale, and the Halberds simply got 1 more morale. And their stats didn't change that much because Angmar's bonuses, but basically we're trying to get the Orcs to be a little bit more sturdy and a little bit more deadly than the Goblins, and while still keeping them kind of Angmar flavored, not having them basically just be clones of each other. So that's the reason why they're a tiny bit smaller. And we've got the Witch Realm Blackguard here as well, and as I was saying, they give a lot of morale to the units nearby. They get +10, I believe. So it's going to be instrumental in keeping my units in the fight for longer against the devastating volleys of the Mangonel, and there's going to be 2 of them on the field today. So, you know, 1 more than there was last game. We saw the amount of damage that thing could do. So I got some Snaga archers here, 1-2, and I think that just about does it for my army comp. So let's go ahead and see what my opponent, the Misty Mountains, are bringing to the battle today. So one quick note, if you guys noticed I was missing about 1,300 florins, well, here it is. I also have a unit of the Witchers of Angmar, and you're going to get to see their new projectile in action today. It's not that new, it works pretty well the same as the old, but it's green fire. It's spooky, scary green fire. But let's move on now to Tundra's Fox's army. I believe he's got, oops, some lag. A little bit of lag there. 2 units of Mangonel. There should be 1 here, another over there as well. He's got a bunch of heavy goblin infantry. I'm not entirely sure how much. It's kind of hard to say, just because there's so many places to hide on Forest Ambush, because it is, of course, an ambush map. So, as his forces are a little bit concealed. Sorry about that. Bit of lag. Trying to sort that out. Got some cave troll drummers, an instrumental part of the Mangonel build, because you will probably hit your own troops. Got some heavy goblin spears here as well. Goblin King's bodyguard, which is where their general is going to be hanging out today. He's also brought some Drake Broodlings, so a lot of unique units from the Misty Mountains. I think he's got some Warg Riders hidden in here. He's got some Snaga Skirmishers, some Goblin Crossbowmen, 2 units of Goblin Crossbowmen, I think a couple of Skirmishers as well, and a bunch of other just basic infantry units. So not really too much to be seen from his army right now, but that's pretty well the gist of it. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the replay. Hope you guys enjoy it. So what I have done here is I have tried to outfox Tundra's Fox. I've got a very large, very conspicuous, very scary-looking force charging down the main road towards him. I do have a visible unit of Trolls of Angmar over here, but most of my units are actually hidden in addition to. So I got my Snaga units moving forward as well, and I'm going to try and kind of pinch him. I suppose it's actually called a pincer. I'm going to try and catch him in a pincer movement here with some pretty substantial flanking forces. So I've got my Witch Realm Scourge Raiders over here, both my units of Wargs, and of course my unit of Trolls of Angmar as well, in addition to some missile support and some fodder units, just in case he tries to retaliate with some of his own Warg units. So I'm going to have some units nearby that I can potentially use to great effect against him. You can see a lot of troops being scrambled here. I probably should have waited longer, although on my screen it was a while. This is actually quite a laggy game, because I think I was uploading our previous 2 videos while I was playing it, so yeah, I kind of jumped the gun a little bit here. It seemed like longer than it actually was, but I certainly should have waited. That being said, it didn't take long for my main line of troops to get here, so it won't be too much longer either before I begin to charge in. So I got my Angmar Marauders here. We're already coming under fire from that Mangonel. I've widened my formation, and I put everybody into loose formation for the most part, except for my halberds, because I want to try and minimize the damage that that Mangonel can do to me as I move in. You can see, oh, some nasty stuff over here, some Broodlings. Heavy Goblin Spears are unfortunately going to get caught up in that. Broodlings are going to make it into my Angmar Marauders, but that charge is going to be very much blunted by the fact that he ran through one of his own hidden units. And I think I've got, oh, there's some fire nearby as well. Ooh, I think it just cooked. I might cook one of those Drake Broodlings. They're very, very vulnerable to fire, and it would not take more than a single direct hit in order to rout them. Let's go ahead and turn down just a little bit. My Angmar Marauders and my halberds making it into the front lines. Got my Guardians of Cardoom in there as well. They inspire, and I've got my Witch Realm Blackguard following far behind. So I'm going to try and occupy as much of his force here as I possibly can. I have pulled off a unit of halberds, and I brought them in with my Warg Skirmishers as well, so that we can maybe take a bite at some of these Drake Broodlings. I saw some of his Wargs over here as well, so I know they're in the area. But I want to give my, yeah, you can see them pop up right there. I want to give my Warg Skirmishers the opportunity to maybe take down both of these cavalry units with a little bit of help from my Angmar Marauders, or from my Angmar Halberds. And I've got enough on my front lines at this point to really be quite nasty. Ooh. See that Mangonel going after my poor Witch Realm Scourge Raiders. Got some Snaga Archers here. I've widened in a very loose formation, try and deal with some of these Goblin Archers, and the idea here is to get my Scourge Raiders probably about to where this big black burnt tree is that's missing textures for some reason. Get them up here, either use them on the heavy Goblin units, or use them on the Goblin King's bodyguard. And I'm actually bringing up my Witchers right now. I'm trying to be sneaky and stealthy with them, but I think Tundra's Fox eventually sees them. This is the second game we did where I had Witchers, so I'm pretty sure he was expecting to see them. But yeah, so I'm trying to be a little bit extra sneaky, but Tundra's Fox has already spied them and is going to desperately try to blow holes in my poor Witchers, which is unfortunate. Over on this end, got my Warg Skirmishers. They're kind of falling back. I think they were getting chased by Tundra's Fox's Wargs, and I don't really want to commit them to the fray against that unit that's a little bit more dedicated to melee, so I want to try and use my Javelins up before I have to do that. Over here, got my Trolls of Angmar rushing in, and they're going to move in to flank this line here where the Goblin King's bodyguard is. I want to try and kill that Goblin King's bodyguard. Last time, I think he has some Berserkers as well. The Berserkers and the Goblin King bodyguard were very much my downfall. I didn't see them, and I wasn't really able to do a whole lot about them, so I got my Witchers moving in here. I'm initially moving them onto the flank because I, of course, want to get that inflating fire with the Witchers. But now that I have my Trolls in here, I'm kind of thinking twice. A bit of hesitation here when I really should be doing things that are decisive. Oh, over here, a brutal hit from that Mangonel. I can see the range of it. It's really quite substantial. Actually routes a unit of my Witch Realm Scourge Raiders. It's a lot to deal with. The other unit, however, is able to toss their throwing axis into the Heavy Goblin Infantry, which isn't necessarily the best choice for them. But I do want to thin these Goblin Infantry out because I want to be able to get in there and crush the wing and maybe even come in from the rear. You can see the Blackback Mountain Berserkers over here, and I think I've got my Witchers. I was trying to get them to fire. You can see them reloading, but they just kind of were refusing to, and I think it's because of all the fire that they were under. So a lot of them falling to those archers, the massed volley fire from those archers. The Witchers have really good melee defense, but their armor value is incredibly low. They've got 4 or 5 HP, something like that. But, yeah, archers are extremely effective tools against them. Oh, there it is. There's the green fire. Let's see if it actually gets anybody. I don't think so. Yeah, that's not the best shot. It does kind of fry the back of these units, and it does apply the morale debuff, therefore. But, yeah, it could have been a hell of a lot more impressive. I was very disappointed with that. If I got a really solid hit here on his front line, I would have been able to break through, get into the archers, get into the Mangonels, more importantly, and this fight would be going a hell of a lot more in my favor, but unfortunately my Witchers are kind of pooping the bed here a little bit. Got my throwing axes coming in against the Blackback Mountain Berserkers. I think I'm hitting a lot of my Trolls of Angmar as well, so a little bit of a mistake there on my part. So how are we doing over here in the wings? The skirmishers are doing their best. I've actually brought in my Angmar Hellbirds. I kind of want to use them to maybe crush the back here. And I'm not too sure how things are going elsewhere. My Witch Realm Scourge Raiders just took another hit from the Mangonel. It's not fun. Another volley there from that supporting unit of Witch Realm Scourge Raiders who came back from routing. Going to be supporting my second unit against the Heavy Goblin Infantry. Tossing the throwing axes in. Should be able to destroy that unit reasonably quickly. Still got a fair amount of Witchers left. I'm still trying to get them to fire, but they really don't want to. The terrain here is not really meant for this kind of unit scale. Conquest is, of course, balanced around small. So I am running into a little bit of line of sight issues here where I didn't think I would have those. So that's not great. Over on this end, I tried to force my Warg Riders through here, but they all kind of like... There's a really big pathfinding problem. They kind of just like ran in a tiny straight line and like ended up getting caught out. So then I was trying to maneuver them, but the Warg Riders' lower morale took over, and then I ended up just losing them. So that's a lot of money off my line right there, which I wasn't really able to use effectively, mostly due to the terrain. So that kind of sucks for me, but oh well. Snug Archers moving forward. I'm going to move them probably back up onto this hill so I can pepper down some of these Goblin Archers, maybe even use them to fire into the flank of this Goblin main line, which is where I am winning the fight quite handily. This is where the Angmar infantry is kind of showing its superior quality to that of the Goblins. Got my Warg Skirmishers in here, fighting against some Warg Riders with the help of the Angmar Halberds, but it's just not doing the damage that I want it to. The Misty Mountains Warg Riders, however, did take a fair amount of damage in return, but he's got a lot of skirmishers, just so many skirmishers, and the terrain really is propitious for that kind of unit, for this kind of build specifically, because I am so bottled up, right? And yeah, just easy prey all around for his skirmishing units. Guardians of Karndum charging into the flank here against Goblin King's Bodyguard. A little bit of friendly fire there. Frying some of my units, also cooking some of those Goblin Bodyguard. Not as bad as it could have been, though. Ooh. Very close, though. He could have fried some of his own K-Field armors. That would suck for him. Guardians of Karndum charging their way through. Angmar Halberds trying to get in there, do their work. I wonder where my Witchers are at this point. I think I might have just pulled them back, but I didn't pull them back far enough, and they're still under a lot of fire. Yeah, a lot of Goblin Archers there. So many skirmishing units. It was not a fun thing to have to advance into. But I chose the map, so I did this to myself, honestly. Snog Archers now maneuvering themselves in position. I'm going to be able to put the hurt on those Goblin Archers, give my Witchers a little bit of a reprieve. Over here, my Warg Riders fleeing. Snogga Stalkers engaging as the Heavy Goblin Infantry. We're moving forward to try and silence my Snug Archers, but this is where the terrain kind of plays against Tundra's Fox for once. And they're now surrounded, fighting with my Snogga Stalkers, who are far more numerous. And I think, yeah, doing a lot better in terms of their fatigue as well, which is great. We're here in the main line. I'm slowly but surely trying to get through. It's the Blackback Mountain Berserkers here that are really holding me up. But once I can surge through, It's going to be a big deal. I got my Guardians of Karn Doom already moving in. Heavy Goblin Archers going to get mowed down by those heavily armored Orcish Warriors. Got my Work Skirmishers over here as well. But another charge from the Work Riders, which unfortunately I didn't see until the last moment, so I think they do end up kind of catching me a bit here. We're getting very, very close to overwhelming that unit. I don't think I have any more of my my halberds left. Actually, no, my halberds move forward, and we're silenced by a hidden company of Goblin Infantry. Work Skirmishers managed to get away. They're still tossing their javelins. Trying to whittle down those Warg Riders, but yeah, it's a tough fight for my Wargs. We're pretty outnumbered to begin with. Oh, a nasty hit from that Mangonel. I don't know how many of those are mine and how many were Tundra's Fox, but you can see that I've managed to break through the front line now, and my troops are in a big way. We're gonna be playing for time here. Got my Witchbone Scourge Raiders. If I can manage to destroy this unit of Goblin Infantry quickly enough, then I can come in with some reinforcements and we can potentially surround these guys. But of course we are still going to have trouble with those Snaga Skirmishers and the rest of their skirmishers pretty well generally. I am using my archers to fire down at this Mangonel crew, try and silence them. I think I managed to stop the other Mangonel crew, or maybe I'm just not quite there yet, but I think I will be soon. Guardians over here along with actually, those are Tundra Fox's Warg Riders who have managed to, I think, sweep mine away. Very sad for me. Oh no, I still have about 13 of them left. And they're doing their best, but yeah, another charge there. Again, trying to get them out of there, but they're a little bit slow to react. And Warg Riders are going to overtake them, and that's going to suck for me. But it is reasonably even so far, although he does have about a 5. No, I suppose it's a bit more than that. It's about a 7% disadvantage, or advantage rather. So my Angmar unit's breaking despite the presence of my my Guardians of Karn Doom and my Witchbone Blackguard. I was trying to save my general's horn ability for whenever the Mangonel had just hit, so that I could try and save myself from the morale shocks. But he is holding me up quite ably right now, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna turn it up full speed. With the Drake Broodlings coming in from the rear now. I've still got a reasonably healthy unit of halberds, I think, still nearby. I am actually going to pull them out here. You can see my halberds. Try and use them to kill some of those Drake Broodlings. You can see some of them going down. Some of them to his own Javelin Fire, some of them to my halberds and their anti-elephant bonus and their AP. Now I've managed to get in there with the Goblin units. I think I've managed to silence one of the Mangonels, finally. Oh, no, maybe not. Snaga Skirmishers still pelting away at me. This is real. If I had my Warg units and I was able to flank with them, this would have been a very different story. I would have been able to get in here and destroy these Snaga Skirmishers. So a couple of mistakes on my part so far that have really made this battle a lot harder than I think it needs to be. You know, Witch Realm Scourge Raiders here, and they're going to go directly for that Mangonel because I'm tired of getting shot by it. And the second unit is going to come in here and flank those goblins. I think now I've made it into the Mangonel and silenced that one. So I've effectively shut down both of the Mangonels. No longer have to worry about them, which is nice. Though I make a bit of a mistake here with my Witch Realm Scourge Raiders. I'm trying to go after the Snagas who had turned their attention at my Witch Realm Scourge Raiders. But despite the presence of my general, all of those missile units firing down at me is actually going to rout my poor Scourge Raiders. Yeah, point blank volley there. And they'll go from steady to broken and fighting to the death in just a few minutes. Let's see what we got going on over here. Snaga Stalkers fighting Heavy Goblin Infantry. I think some of the Warg Riders from Tundra's Fox managed to make it over here. My Snaga Archers were pretty well out of ammunition at this point, and have been letting a lot of supporting fire to my army. But at this point, there's not really a whole lot left that I have to defend them. If I could bring them in there with my general, though, that would be a really big boon. That would give me a lot more numbers, which in hindsight is maybe something I should have done. Over here, I got my Snaga Stalkers beating down those Goblin Infantry. They'll be able to get through. And maybe I'll be able to use them to come in and silence the other Orc Mangonel over here for a second time. And so far, I have actually managed to grind down a fair amount of Tundra Fox's forces. You can see I've really brought it back now, only about a 3% disparity. This Goblin Infantry just getting massacred here. He does have a big ace in the hole, however, in the form of the Blackbacks, which I was not able to effectively deal with. Now they're going to come in from the rear. And if I had destroyed the Blackbacks and managed to get through with my cavalry, I think despite all the damage I have taken from the Mangonel so far, I'd be in a really good position right now. But as it is, I am kind of being squeezed a bit here. I've managed to get into the Snaga Stalkers, silence them a little bit. But now they are going to be able to deftly escape from my poor beleaguered troops. We're doing their best. They're slogging forward, and they've done a lot of damage, but they're also taking quite a lot of devastating fire from that orc Mangonel, which unfortunately I wasn't able to silence completely with my orc marauders. I definitely should have left them in there for longer, I think. Over on this end, Drake Broodlings have been brought to bear against my Snagas, and I have actually brought in my Snaga Stalkers to try and fight them, but they're pretty tired at this point. And the Drakes do cause fear, so they're going to rout very, very quickly. Most of my Snagas are going to flee as well. It's a real shame. 72 in that unit, but honestly, all of them are out of ammunition, so I got about as much as I was going to be able to get out of them. And then at this point, this is where Hunter's Fox starts to tip into that critical mass where he's killed enough of my troops that there's really not a whole lot of hope for me. Got some Stalker Skirmishers over here, Heavy Goblin Crossbowmen. Yeah, and those Mangonels. I think that I could have won this if it wasn't for some pathfinding problems and a few mistakes that I made. Using my Witchers to greater effect would have greatly precipitated me breaking through. I just was not able to get them to work, and there was only so much time that I had before they all died. And yeah, it ended up being a fairly close game. But the terrain definitely favored the Misty Mountains in this kind of instance, so I was very impressed with how my Angbar army performed. But yeah, it's all part of the testing process here. The Mangonel probably a bit too strong at the moment, but it is something that we want to be strong. But the radius on the secondary shot definitely needs to go down. I've seen it in a couple battles now. It just blows massive holes in things and causes huge mass routes. I'd like to see it cut down to like 1/10 of that, so that the cluster shot is the main danger, and up close the Mangonel doesn't do quite so much. I think that would be reasonably balanced. It is fun to watch it just set everything on fire, though. Burn the world down. Look at that. Cooking some of his own units there. 93% to about 80 or so. It wasn't that close, but a lot of those, there's a lot of Misty Mountains units here, and I've managed to destroy most of his infantry. I think I took down his general as well. I don't see the Goblin King bodyguard anywhere. It ended up being a really fun game, with some pretty cool terrain. So it was nice to show off the forest ambush map as well. Let's go ahead and we're gonna fast forward it here. Maybe we'll get one more juicy Mangonel hit before we sign off. No. No, it's this, look at this one guy here, just surrounded by Snagas. Oh man. He just got beat to death by a bunch of by a bunch of mentally challenged goblin children. That's really unfortunate. Let's see here. Did a fair amount of damage with a lot of my units. Guardians of Karn Doom performed incredibly well. Angor Halberds did a lot of damage as well. The ones that were fighting on the main line. The other Halberds, they kind of got destroyed. Witcher on Blackguard doing really nicely. Like my Snaga Stalkers also got a fair amount of kills. Most of that was Goblin Infantry, so don't read too much into it. Snaga Archers, yeah, they did all right. That's about what you'd expect from Snaga Archers. My Marauders definitely could have done better, but they were the first into the fray, and they took a lot of hits from that Mangonel early on, and some of them got routed by a cap charge. So, yeah, unfortunate, but it was still a really good game. So thank you to Hunter's Fox for playing with me, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this little test of the Mangonel. It was also cool you got to see the new Witcher projectile in the battle again today as well. But yeah, don't as I said in the first half of this video, don't take this as a statement of balance or as things that can't change. The Mangonel will definitely be changing based on the experiences that I've seen in these couple of replays and some of the other ones people have sent me. It's very, very strong right now, and we want to reduce that just a bit. Not so much that it's useless, but we do want it to have a very specific role, and I would prefer it to be more deadly at range than it is in close quarters, or closer up. Obviously, Mangonel in close quarters won't do a whole lot, except maybe fall on you, and that would be unfortunate. But in any case, I've rambled on long enough. My name is Jordan, also known as J Monster. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and hope you'll join me for whatever comes next. Take care, everybody.